Hello, loyal fans and subscribers. Ninamori Fanboy here with the PBF Week 6 team building / preparation video. At the end of Week 5, I ended up being ranked number 1 in the PBF with a win-to-loss ratio 4-0, and I intend to keep that ratio going as the weeks continue. So my opponent this week, Week 6, is going to be the Chicago Beartics. Now, it's going to be a little hard describing my team preparation video because I actually already had the battle with him. It just ended up being easier to battle before I made my video. I make my team, then I usually make my video, but it ended up just working out that I would make my team, then battle, before I could take the time to make this team preparation video that's like 3 seconds long and takes no time to make. But I will try not to spoil anything that happened in the battle, and I will try to make my thought process what it was at the time I made the team. Anyway, in case you are not familiar with my team, it is Greninja, Megamanectric, Latios, Swampert, Blissey, Gothitelle, Fletchinder, Virizion, Hitmontop, Persian, Lapras, and Granbull. And my opponent this week, the Chicago Beartics, have access to Mega Venusaur, Conkeldurr, Heatran, Salamence, Vaporeon, Whimsicott, Jolteon, Aromatisse, Spiritomb, Scyther, Quagsire, and Mesprit. Now, the first thing I always do when making a team is check my opponent's team for potential hazard setters and potential hazard removers. I don't believe he has any way to remove hazards, unless like Salamence and or Scyther can learn Defog, which I don't think are optimal and or even possible, but they could be, whatever. I'm not expecting him to bring Defog if he does bring either of those though, so I don't think he'll be able to remove hazards. As far as his hazard setters, I can see Heatran, Quagsire, and Mesprit that can set up rocks, and I believe that's it. That being said, I was pretty confident he would bring at least one of these members, and in fact, I was pretty sure it would be the Heatran just because, it's a great mon in general, so, he could definitely bring others too, but I was mostly expecting the Heatran to be his stealth rocker. And even though Swampert is a great counter to Heatran, I opted to bring Blissey as my stealth rocker instead of Swampert, just because he has a lot of special attackers. I'm looking at Venusaur, Heatran, Vaporeon, Whimsicott, Jolteon, Aromatisse, Quagsire, Mesprit. Well, Quagsire can be both. A lot more special offensive Pokemon than physical ones, and Blissey can even take some physical hits too. I think it can take a Drain Punch from Conkeldurr even at full if I do the standard build of bold 252 defense, 252 special defense, which is what I run during this battle. The main reason I'm not bringing Swampert though is of course the grass types on his team, the Whimsicott, and of course the Mega Venusaur. Even his Jolteon could have HP grass, so I decided against Swampert in favor of Blissey. To combat the Venusaur, I considered bringing Latios or Gothitelle. Ultimately, I decided Latios because it does well against a lot of members of his team, whereas Gothitelle basically only dealt with Venusaur, and that's about it. I debated between a Life Orb and a Scarf Latios for a while, but ultimately I decided on my standard Scarf Latios just to... I don't think it was to outspeed the Jolteon, but, since I'm Scarfed, I will be able to outspeed the Jolteon, of course. Like, if he brings Ments, I'll know if it's Scarfed or not. Stuff like that. Basically, that's the only thing. That way, I could outspeed them things. For his moves, I chose Draco Meteor, of course, Psyshock or Psykick. I was debating there. Earthquake to hit Heatran and Jolteon. Energy Ball to hit Quagsire. and that's it. I ended up choosing Psy-Shock over Psychic just because of Conkeldurr. Psychic would be better against most Mega Venusaurs, but I figured, Conkeldurr is it's a more of a threat. Like, if I have a Latios in against either one of them, Conkeldurr is more of a threat to Latios than Mega Venusaur is, so I want to take care of that more, which is why I went for Psy-Shock instead. So there's Latios. I, of course, decided to bring Greninja, and I went with a naive one this time, with, Life Orb, of course. 252 special attack, 124 speed, because that's all I needed to outspeed everything that isn't Jolteon. I believe that includes up to Salamence, or Scyther. I think Scyther, yeah. And the rest in attack. For moves, right away I knew I wanted Ice Beam for, like Whimsicott and Scyther, and Extra Sensory for Venusaur, of course. Then I originally thought Water Shuriken and Dark Pulse would work well. Then I realized Dark Pulse doesn't really hit anything except Mesprit, and Water Shuriken was there to hit Heatran, so I ended up switching it up a bit and giving it Scald, to potentially burn some stuff, and Shadow Sneak. I just wanted some priority on Greninja in case I got into a situation that I didn't like I was against Jolteon, or like a +6 Salamence, or something Scarfed that I needed to outspeed desperately. So originally I thought Water Shuriken would be the best, then I realized Shadow Sneak might work because of Conkeldurr. I figured there would probably be a situation where my Greninja is up against a Conkeldurr, so I figured the Conkeldurr could easily click Mach Punch while I'm dark and then do significant damage, if not KO me. So I figured first I would, Shadow Sneak so it can't Mach Punch me. Then I can click, my Extra Sensory and then damage it, and that'll probably be enough damage to take it out. Not probably, but hopefully. And of course, Shadow Sneak does more damage to Salamence in general than Water Shuriken would. And I believe that's about it. So yeah, there's my Greninja. Speaking of Salamence, I decided to bring Lapras with a Rocky Helmet this time, with Ice Shard, Waterfall, Drill Run, and Dragon Dance. 252 attack, Adamant, 212 speed, and 40 HP. The speed was to outspeed standard specially defensive Heatran without any Dragon Dance boosts, and the Rocky Helmet and HP were to take any unboosted hit from any Salamence, unless it's Choice Banded, I think. Then I don't believe I can take an Outrage. Other than that, though, I think I can take everything, and Ice Shard does like 80 to 98%, so Ice Shard plus Rocky Helmet damage should be enough to take it out. If not, I do have that Shadow Sneak on my Greninja. So that was the deal with my Lapras. Then here I wanted an Intimidator, so I was kind of debating between Hitmontop and Granbull. Ultimately, I decided my Rapid Spin wasn't as useful as my Fairy typing, so I opted for Granbull instead, just in case he's, locked into Outrage, or, just so I can have a check to Conkeldurr and stuff like that. He does have Heatran and Venusaur, which do counter Granbull, so I had to be careful, what I did. I decided I would give it 252 attack, 252 HP leftovers, Play Rough, Earthquake for Heatran, if it comes in on a predicted Play Rough, Toxic and Protect, for like Quagsire or Whimsicott or Vaporeon, stuff like that. And finally, of course, I brought my Mega Manectric. It can outspeed everything after it Mega Evolves, unless something's Scarfed. And, I can do well against Jolteon. Like, I can not Mega Evolve if I'm predicting a Volt, like if I'm in against it, turn 1. If he brings Jolteon, I plan to lead with Mega Manectric and then not Mega Evolve. And then if it hits me with, Volt Switch, I'll get the Lightning Rod, and I'll make sure to hit him with, Flamethrower or something. And like if he was Spec Shadow Ball and did a lot to me, I could switch to Blissey right away, then get up my rocks. So that was my plan. That's why I brought Mega Manectric, and being able to just Volt Switch around is always good, so I figured Mega Manectric was a very solid option, and the Intimidate never hurts, so yeah. So to recap, my team is Blissey, Latios, Greninja, Gramble, Lapras, and Mega Manectric. Looking at his team, I don't see anything that is either very threatening or left unchecked. I think I just said either instead of and. Nothing that is a threat that isn't checked. Like Venusaur, I got Latios, Heatran, Latios, Greninja, Lapras even, Conkeldurr, Greninja, Latios, kinda Gramble, Salamence, Granbull, Lapras, Greninja, Vaporeon, Latios, Energy Ball, Granbull can Toxic it, I guess, Whimsicott, Lapras, Ice Shard, Jolteon, Mega Manectric, and Blissey, Aromatisse, I don't even know Blissey, I guess, Spiritomb, that can check Latios, hopefully it won't ever be in and try to Pursuit Trap or Sucker Punch Trap me. Anyway, I got Granbull and Blissey, I guess, Scyther, Granbull, Lapras, I guess, Quagsire, Latios, Energy Ball, and Mesprit, I guess Greninja. So yeah, that's the team I used against the Beartics. I already know how I did, so, I can't really comment without spoiling much, so I'll just say to stay tuned for the battle. This video didn't end up being too long, which is good, so I guess, yeah, that's it. Watch the battle if you'd like. This is a very bad outro. I guess the whole video is kind of flawed since I recorded this after the battle. I'm kind of all thrown off, in addition to not battling for a week. I guess that's another reason why I wanted to battle early, because I was off for a week. I had a bye week in week 5. But now I'm back, and, hopefully I will come out on top, and I suppose you will see whether I do or not in a few days when I post the video. So until then, thank you for watching, and have a good day, guys and girls, if girls are watching this.